Yeah, so now I'm a regional logistics officer for a World Food Program in Nairobi, where we provide support to 10 country operations in the region who serve over 35 million of acutely food insecure people. WFP's vision is zero hunger, and there's a saving lives component to that and an enabling lives component. And for both of these, we need to work really closely with the private sector. We can't do it alone. And before I came to Nairobi, I was involved in the saving lives part and emergency response to floods, droughts, earthquakes, and conflict. And there again, we had to partner a lot with private sector, but also with governments, of course, to deliver. And here we have some of that in the region too, but we also work on the enabling lives part, where we help foster trade through market-based assistance, where we provide cash in one form or the other to our beneficiaries who can then buy food in markets. And so I've been involved in determining ways in which we can help develop some of those markets and trade, leveraging the demand that we bring in. Yeah, so we do reach, we do go to hard to reach places where there's no connectivity, and there we sort of have more infrastructural interventions that also benefit trade, right? But more and more the context that we operate in, also a lot of our beneficiaries have mobile phones, more and more also smartphones in certain contexts, right? Connectivity is there, it's coming in as well. So we are also, using digital infrastructure to reach people. And if you're talking about Somalia as an example, when COVID hit, we really had to change the way we work as well, as many did. And normally we bring food to certain locations, and then a lot of people come there, assemble there to collect their food. Or we transfer funds to people, and then they go in groups to markets to buy food in the markets, right? So this grouping, this congregation of people was posing new risks in this pandemic environment. So we had to decentralize essentially our distribution, and instead of people coming to buy or collect the food, we had to go out to the people and to their homes and bring the food. Whether it was a WFP food or food bought through markets. And so we use technology to do that. We beneficiaries could buy using their mobile phone the food that they wanted and indicate when they wanted it delivered. And then WFP had to adjust basically their entire supply chain between that to almost operate like a DHL to repackage quantities and deliver it to homes. So, on the one hand, this really developed a whole new transport sector that we normally don't work with, because these are small vehicles and motorbikes, etc., that really grew. On the other hand, also farmers and traders were able to get into that platform and offer discounts. So it widened the market and the transparency, and beneficiaries had more choice and more value for money. So that was really a success story, and it sort of changed our supply chain from push to pull, right? So that's
it's almost like a direct to consumer. It's almost like a direct to consumer. So it's almost like an e-commerce. I say, WFP, here's my selection, and it's delivered to me like that.
Yeah, and it also works with the normal phone and not the smartphone, so that it has less features, but it can also work in those more remote contexts. So that is now a new business model essentially that we created, that's now being picked up in other countries and is getting corporate attention. So that's a clear example. We also buy a lot of food in the region, as you mentioned also in the beginning. I think we move in the order of 2 million tons of food through this region every year, and we buy about 500,000 tons of food every year in neighboring countries. And so we have to operate quite a bit through aggregators, but we try to buy a certain percentage from smallholder farmers. So that's also where the traceability piece comes in, also for us. that we use technology to understand what we're buying from whom, and also whether the income of smallholder farmers grows, right, through the demand that we provide. So that's another example there.
Can I explore that last bit? So that how do you how does that information come to you, so you can say we bought a quality or an adequate product, and that we've paid somebody, and we can see a little bit of their income? How do you get that information? How does it come? How does it get to you?
Yeah, that's again app-based and with various partners. And I think we haven't cracked everything yet, so it's still under development to improve, notably also the because it gets aggregated at some point, and then how the traceability piece to the final end, which we've cracked now in Somalia, but that end-to-end process still needs to be secured. So it's a work in progress. Yeah.
And I'm kind of working towards the question, which is this applicable? Could companies pick this up in the technology you're using in some ways to have their own direct-to-consumer solution? And also to have, because even as Ritesh mentioned, and Kenneth, consumers want to know that income is getting back to smallholders. So could these apps potentially have a commercial application?
Is that to me or to?
Yeah, to you. Yeah, to you.
Yeah, I think so. And I think, I heard already some very interesting also interventions by the other colleagues on the people on the call. So, but definitely. Yes. I think what Ritesh just said really resonates also with me. I think, having an end-to-end vision on making supply chains more competitive and more resilient to foster that regional trade is important. And, digitization can bring a lot more transparency and even efficiency gains, but it can also create a lot of more bureaucracy and delays, and make it more cumbersome to do business. I think a recent example that we are experiencing is this new customs clearance system introduced by Kenya. That is, it has so many steps and steps within steps, and it's just making it difficult to do business in Kenya, to be honest. And so there needs to be that balance between protection and production, and you need to look at the entire supply chain, and not, what can create advantages for a government in some parts. Then, that it still leaves a lot of it creates more bottlenecks, and there are non-tariff barriers that need to be addressed all along the supply chain to make it more competitive. And this is what we hope to be able to advocate more on and work more with regional entities on. And, we have a big operational footprint in this region, and we can help test solutions, and we can report back to regional entities and governments. And so, but I think it's really important to address all those barriers to trade. Thank you.
I agree. And one of the things we also talk about is, consult the private sector when a system's coming, when a regulation's coming, make it predictable, make it
exactly, and consult with us, and use us also to help develop and improve systems.
That's it. So that predictability, I think, is the one thing. If we hear from businesses, the one thing. If they couldn't have anything else, it's one thing in regulation that people really want: visibility, transparency, predictability in terms of the rule making processes, and even systems such as the one that you mentioned.